Elmi Bad. So I started in art department, then moved into styling and costume design. And then I was working with a lot of British people coming to shoot in Capetown, and I was like, well, hang on, if these motherfuckers can come here and shoot here, then I can go there and do the same. So I packed my bag, took a sheet with me, and moved to London with a lot of hope and Dutch courage. And yes, ended up working there for about 4 or 5 years as a costume designer and stylist. I love putting characters together, and like the fun part is doing all of that. And so when I came back to South Africa, some of my peers like Terence Neal and Greg Rom and people like that started directing, and I was like, well, actually I would rather trying to help build a local market with the skills that I've acquired and the knowledge I've acquired from working abroad and on a lot of international jobs. So me and Terence Neal ended up working together. So I started my art directing career with Terence Neal, pretty much did all his jobs, and then slowly but surely started transitioning into more international work, doing a lot of service work. Early days with Terence was amazing because it was like the golden age of South African advertising, I must say. It was like, we often sat on set thinking, I can't believe we're getting paid to do this. Because it was so crazy, like the early Chicken Licken ads and like stuff like that. So that was super fun. And you keep learning from every person that you work with. I mean, you learn as much as you want to learn. And I really enjoyed spying on different directors, spying on the occasional production designer that you'd art direct for here. So I really used that next 10, 15 years back in South Africa, like literally being a sponge and trying to learn as much as I can. But I've always been super fascinated by objects and the history of objects and the story that objects tell. And like costume design, you know, production design is literally what can you say about a person by showing an empty room, you know, without even a cast member in it. So I always find, you know, every time I do a project, I really literally, I get quite obsessed by the characters. Who are these people? What did motivate them? What did they wear this morning? What did they eat? You know, what do they do for a living? So I actually try and create a lot of backstory, which even if it is commercial, because it just makes it so much more fun. It gives it more depth. First feature film we shot about 3 years ago. I think it was 21, 22. A dear friend of mine, Johnny Barrington, he actually, he called me asking, can I recommend anybody in the UK, because he's got money to do his first little indie feature film. And I said, well, that's amazing, send me the script. And then I read it and I phoned him back and I said, I'm not going to recommend anyone, I'm coming to do this film. So it was a challenging process because I've never done a feature film before, and obviously it was Scottish money, and so in theory they needed to kind of employ Scottish people, or like at least UK people. So it was quite a battle to convince the producer to like give me this opportunity, but we stuck it out, and I mean I ended up making like a 150-page visual treatment for this film, and I did it in a way like as if I was the director, how would I break this down? So I did like cast references, location references, wardrobe references, like production design references. And when I sent that to him, he phoned me back and he said, I'm sitting here crying looking at this, and like, I really want to make this film with you. So, and also I am a sailor, and a lot of the film takes place on this remote island, and it's a story of a dad that passes away at sea. Hell of a challenge to get there because it was also shot during COVID, and then I had to it was anyway, a legal battle I won't bore you with to get into the UK during COVID to go and shoot this film. And we lived on this extremely remote island in the Western Hebrides where there's more sheep than people. It was crazy. It was a great experience. Me and the cinematographer and the director had a really wonderful collaborative spirit and like creative shorthand, and we all stayed in the same house together. So like at night at dinner we would talk about what we're shooting the next day. So it's really probably the most creatively fulfilling experience of my life so far. Well, I have to say, for a girl from Bloemfontein in the Free State, I have no idea where my obsession with the sea comes from. But I think I've always wanted to learn to sail, and I think like I lost my first love of my life, bar and debate, passed away, and it was a very big shock to my system. And I kind of felt like I needed to do something quite extreme to kind of, I don't know, it just kind of shook me to life a little bit, and I just decided it's now or never. fuck life, fuck work, fuck everything. I have to learn to sail now. So I put a little public service announcement out saying, if anybody knows anyone with a boat, please let me know. I pack a mean picnic basket and I'll wash the boat. And then friends of mine, like a week later, said, well, we're crossing the Atlantic. Do you want to come with? And I was like, sure, let's go. I literally, over like 3 months' time, crammed as much like firefighting at sea, survival at sea, like a basic deckhand course, like trying to like train myself as much as I can. And then set sail without never even spending a night at sea. I do dream big and I think big. And I mean, I was shit scared, don't get me wrong. Like I literally, like I drew up a will before I went because I was like, well, if I die, unless you can have all my toys. Like, and obviously there was a lot of challenges and close calls and there was a lot of moments like with any journey at sea. But I mean, the most amazing thing about it was being open in the ocean, blue ocean water, not seeing any land. And like, it was the closest experience I think you would ever get to flying a spaceship, actually. Because like at night when you're on watch, everybody else is sleeping. And like, there was like, we sailed in a catamaran, so it had like 2 windows like this, like a big steering wheel. And it's just like stars everywhere and up in the sky. And then there's 2 sugar scoops at the back of the boat that make these trails of efflorescence, trails of stars in the water. So it's just like stars, stars, and you just go like, woo. So that, I must say, and gravity completely, like depending on the swell, depending on the speed of the boat, it's like sometimes you can walk, sometimes you can hardly get up the steps. I would recommend that opportunity to anyone, if you are brave enough and choose your crew well. I had 2 seasons in Cape Town where like almost every director said to me, or producers, like, please come work in America, please come work in America. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? Either I'm quite good at my job or people in America suck. I don't know which one it is. Ended up like obviously building relationships with people that I come to shoot in Cape Town that you work with over the years. My friend Ellen Kuras, she was quite a big advocate for me to come and work in the States. I ended up getting in touch with an immigration lawyer to ask about an artist visa because I thought that's all I would qualify for. And then she got back to me saying, well, I really think I can argue for a green card for you. And I was like, you must be joking. And she's like, no, I'm not. So she's like, are you in a rush? I said no. And then, yeah, we applied and I managed to get a green card on actual merit for exceptional ability on film. So I was like, well, okay, if I could do that, I have to go and try it. The timing of the whole thing has been insane because I got there the year that the actor and writer strike started. So it was like, what the f***? Like, this is a joke. But besides that, I managed to get into the union in the first 3 months, got a great agent, managed to start like getting my head around a completely new city. I think Afrikaans people, number one. Secondly, South Africans, like we are problem solvers. We are like go-getters. We like spot a fuck up a mile away and you start fixing it without even, before you've even told somebody that you've done it. In the union system is quite frustrating in the sense that this person only does this job. This person only does this job. So like, for example, one of my jobs, I was like, hey guys, why don't we just go and like put up this vinyl after we've done all our collections today because it's an early morning and we can have it done before then. They're like, no. You need somebody from the seating department to apply the vinyl. You need, like, I'm not allowed, technically I'm not allowed to go source props in a prop house, so I can't come and roll into Brahm like I normally would and choose props because that's a protected set decorator's job. Basically, what I've learned from being in America is in South Africa, I do the job of a production designer, an art director, and an art department coordinator, all in one. There's designated people for that. You don't always have an art director. There's always a coordinator. In America, you don't touch vehicles, budget, any of that stuff. That sense, working in America is great, especially on union stuff, because you are really protected in the sense of that. People actually don't like to shoot in LA anymore because of the unions. They say there's so much bureaucracy, it becomes so expensive, and it's like, it's a similar thing in the UK as well, actually. Like Erin who worked there before, she also spoke about experiencing that. I think South African crews can definitely do with a little bit more protection, definitely, that is for sure. that's the key in South Africa, is to work with production companies and producers that you love and trust, that you know that respects you. And there are really good people like that around. Because people come to South Africa and they try their luck. I'm not going to stand here and let people firstly step over my team, step over my crew, or like expect crazy things. Because we all do this for a living. We all need our limbs and everything attached. And we all need to be able to get up the next week and work. So I've always been passionate about documentary films. My aunt, actually, she started losing her voice, and then she started working for the Society for the Blind in Bloemfontein. And then she met this piano tuner, this blind piano tuner that needed help with his admin. And so they met and started, like, he started inviting her to like piano concerts of the pianos that he tuned. And so it ended up that my aunt ended up marrying Michiel, who just turned 80 actually last week. That's how I met him, basically, is my aunt married him. Because I'm so in love with objects, I'm very obsessed with visual language and your visual sense. And for me, like, I always think about what an incredible loss it would be for me to lose it. So I've always had a lot of compassion for people that can't see. And spending time with Michiel, and like, I just discovered what a magical human being this guy is. Because like, when we would visit him in Bloemfontein, like, his workshop and his piano tuning business is like one of the best in the Free State. I mean, he's a fully functioning businessman. So he's got this incredible visual map of like his surroundings, which you can't actually believe. Yeah, I mean, he would literally direct me, like, get into the shop at that counter, that's where you need to go. Is actually the world champion in bowls for rollerball. He's been the world champion for South Africa for quite a couple of years, but because he lost his sight when he was 13, he couldn't. So he carried on playing multiple sports. He lives more than most people that I know that can see. And that was just something for me that's so inspiring. I just want to say, and I just want to actually acknowledge the incredible place that Braam and Zahn has created. It's such a haven. When I do or have friends that come and visit, it's the first place I take them, because it's like the proudest thing for me in the film industry in South Africa, because it's a gem. Watch this space. I mean, the world is big and small, but don't hold back. Go after your dreams.